Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Creative Crafters podcast. We have a really special guest today. Her name is Monique Leslie, and she is the Misfit Crafter and founder of Misfit Crafter Studio and the creator of the Misfit Crafter blog. Monique is a teacher, a maker, and a creative entrepreneur. She loves to experiment with different materials and techniques and is always looking for new and creative projects to try and to share the crafty life. Misfit Crafter Studio is a creative online studio that offers craft freebies, classes, workshops, and an inspirational blog. It shares a motley of crafting techniques and styles, creating an all-inclusive space where people can come together to learn and grow and be inspired. So that is the misfitcrafter.com. So welcome, Monique.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, just a first question here. Can you tell the listeners who you are and all about your company?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm Monique Leslie, a Misfit Crafter. People always ask me why Misfit Crafter, and I think it's because pretty much all my life I've kind of been like I've never been able to fit into certain areas um to do like regular things. I've always been on the creative artsy side, so it kind of, even though it's a misfit, it's something that I can do to feel like I found my niche. So I'm a little bit of a misfit and around the world, but it always makes me feel like at home doing crafting and creating and sharing that with other people. So that's why I picked the name Misfit Crafter. I've had it for quite a while. Um, I've been teaching professionally for about 15 years now or so, but I've been crafting pretty much all my life. It's kind of, I think, in the veins all the way back to my great grandmother that had a shop in Los Angeles. She used to have a craft and party shop. And everybody in my family are always making something. So I love sharing that with people. So my company is all about sharing the crafty life with people, whether it be from paper crafting and scrapbooking to candle making, weaving, recycling pieces, or thrifting and upselling pieces or upcycling pieces to create for yourself or to give to others. So that's what we kind of like to do with Misfit Crafter Studio. Plus, we always have like freebies that you can get. We have a free membership that you can join to be able to access all of those freebies. With your free membership, you also have groups that you can join so that you can mingle with other crafters that like the same things that you do. And within those groups, there's live chats and live video chats that you can join in Telegram on each one of those as well. So we're always doing a little bit of something here and there so that it kind of is a general all around thing for everyone. It's mostly because um, I'm an ADHD or crafter that loves to jump from one project to another, and I know there's others like that. So I decided I'm going to make a website just for those people that like to jump from one craft to another. So that's what we do. We have lots of different options for people to join in with workshops and classes and kits, and every once in a while there's a little shop in there that if you want to grab something that's already handmade, you can do that as well. But yeah, that's what we're all about.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, because you're right. You think that people are very focused on their Cricut and doing what they're doing, but it's in reality, we all jump from project to
Yeah.
project. And as I mentioned before, I was working on one and it was a total flop. So now it's a rescue mission to see what else you can do with it to make it a total success. And
Exactly.
yeah, so a lot of those things. So what part of crafting are you most passionate about? Is it the teaching? Is it the making? Is it the designing?
It's a little bit of everything. For me, I mean, I definitely love getting my hands dirty and paint and getting in there and making things. Um, but I love sharing that with other people. I love being able to see what happens when they create something. I always get someone that always tells me, "Oh, I'm not crafty, I'm not creative. I just came to your class just so I could do something." But I don't know what I'm gonna do. And I'm like, all right, well, let's just do that. And then they get this look on their face. And we're not talking just kids, we're talking adults. Kids, that's the easy part. Like throw them a craft and they love it and they have fun and they're proud of themselves. But when an adult does that, that's pretty awesome. I love that look on their face. Like I made this, like I really made this. And I'm like, yeah, you see, you're a lot more creative than you thought. Because there's no wrongdoing in crafting and making. That's what I love. Even if there's a mistake or a flop, there's always something that you can do to change it or move it or cut it apart and redo it. But that's my favorite part. I love the look on someone's face when I teach them something and they're like, oh, I made that. And they get that little look like if they were in kindergarten and like bringing it home and they want to share it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I think even, as we are more seasoned crafters, it still happens. Ooh, I made that. It really turned out. And
Oh, yeah.
you get excited about, I can always get excited about stuff. So you were talking about leading people sort of through a creative process. So when you were thinking of a project, where do you get your ideas?
Ooh. Sometimes it's I bought a paper pack that I see, and then all of a sudden the ideas start swarming of what I can make with that paper pack or a piece of fabric, and like that would be great to make this. I'm definitely a Pinterest browser, getting ideas from other people, influencing that way, nature influenced things all the time. I see something really pretty, a pretty flower, a pretty tree. I'm like, oh, that would be pretty if I were to get, a branch and then do this to it and add some string to it and some bling to it. This could happen instead. So it comes from a little bit of everywhere, but a lot of it comes from other artists and things like that I just admire what they do, but then I can put my own twist on it, my version of what that is. And I think that's kind of what most art is. You just get influenced by what's around you. And crafting is an art. So, I mean, I get it from anything, but a lot of times it tends to be I'll pick up something, look at something, all of a sudden I'll look at something and stop everything I'm doing and just start making something from what I saw.
Yeah, I've got a few people I follow on YouTube and watch on Pinterest and that type of stuff just to see what they're coming up with, some of their inspirations and
Mhm.
designs. But then there's the next step in the process. So do you reverse engineer it? How do you go through your own creative
Yeah. So
process?
sometimes I will reverse engineer it. Recently I was making a book that I know that I learned off of someone else, but I'm like, you know what? I want to make a slightly different version of it. I'll remember measurements, go back and rewatch the video sometimes and just make sure I have the most of the measurements or kind of the process of what it was, but maybe put my own little tweak to it. So I'll usually, if I do see something that's already made or something, I will sometimes literally like pull out the seams out of something and refine the pattern or remake it, adjust sizing to things. I'm always adjusting sizing. That's where I love the Cricut because I can throw something in there, adjust the sizing, it's user friendly, and I will recreate it or get a bunch of shapes to create the other shape that I saw. Um, but I'll do that in life too. It's just if it's a stuffed toy and I just want to figure out how they made it, I'll kind of look at all the seams and take it apart and figure it out and try to put it back together. It doesn't always go back together the same way, but I always try it or at least look and see what it is, measure it out. I'm always sitting here with a ruler measuring things and trying to figure out what can work and what can't. Um, but yeah, I do take apart things sometimes. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, the reverse engineering is a lot of fun. I remember it was a number of years ago now. Might have been the first summit I went in. It was with Jennifer Maker, most people know her as. And it was a little flower cart. I took the whole thing apart and made a gingerbread cart out of it. And
Mhm.
so playing around with this, and you really find tons of stuff how they don't work.
Oh
And
yeah. Oh yeah.
I find people are afraid of mistakes. So what advice would you give them if they're too afraid to try it because they might make a mistake?
Um, when it comes to certain different crafts, yes, if you make some mistakes, some might be a little more costly, but paper crafting, it's just paper. Pull out another piece of paper. It's not a big deal. No one is judging you. No one's going to sit here and say, oh, you did that wrong. There is no wrong. And if they are saying that, they just need to be quiet. But it's usually, there is no wrong. Just try it. The worst you can do is that it might have a smudge. It might not quite sit right, but that's okay. Don't be afraid to just try it. It's okay to make those mistakes. That's how you learn. Don't compare yourself to other makers. Like I said, I've been doing this literally pretty much all my life. I've learned from my family, who, like I said, are all makers. They have been making. I used to go to my grandmother's house every holiday season, and we would sit there and hand make ornaments and things for her tree. And every year she had a new thing. So I was taught for years and years. If you are just picking it up, of course you're not going to know the techniques I know. I've been taught it for years. Don't compare yourself to someone that may have been doing it for years and years or has a different way of doing things. Find your own way and stop comparing and just try it. Like the worst you can do is you might have to buy another piece of felt. You might have to grab another piece of paper. You might have to cover it up and paint one more time and try it again. It's not that big of a deal. Don't be that hard on yourself. It's supposed to be fun. And if it's not fun, move on to something else.
Yeah, exactly. Because I find that a lot of people, because they buy the papers and the pads and think that it's fairly expensive, that's why we have dollar stores. You can go buy some cheap materials, try it all out, practice with the dollar store stuff, and then do the good one with the good materials. And, that makes a huge difference. So do you, beyond just making stuff, do you make stuff to sell? Or are you just for family and friends, or are they just examples for, how people can be successful too?
For the most part, it's mostly I'm making samples for other people. I love teaching people how to make it for themselves because I love doing that. Every once in a while, I'll make something for a friend or family. They'll hire me to make something. Every once in a while, I'll take on a client for a project. And then I sell my samples because I make so many, or if it's something I want to learn, or if it's something I just enjoy making. I love making like little buttons. I love making bookmarks, things like that. And every once in a while, I'll put them up in my store. So I do have a small store that you can get some handmade stuff. But usually if it's in there, it's something I've created to show someone else. And then I'll tend to want to make like 10 of them because it's fun for me. I get excited to show people how to make something. So then I want to make 15 of them now. And I get re-excited to learn something again myself that I want to teach someone. So I'll tend to make a lot of things, junk journals, albums, resin, tiny little resin crafts, buttons and badges and stickers. I love making stickers because I love stickers. So when I make stickers for myself, I'll make a dozen of them and throw them in my shop, but it's because I wanted that sticker. And I put stickers on my cups. I have a little mini fridge in my craft room. So I put them all over my mini fridge. If I could put it in the living room fridge, my kitchen fridge, I'd do that too, but I don't think my rental company would like it.
So what advice would you give anyone that wants to do what you're doing?
Try it. Don't worry too much about selling what other people are selling. If you do want to sell, if you want to teach, find something that you enjoy. Because if you enjoy it, you're probably pretty good about it. And you're probably going to be pretty good about telling other people how to do it because you like talking about it. I love talking about the Cricut. I love talking about papers and crafting and all of that. And I think that's what makes me a good teacher is because I love the joy of teaching someone. If you are miserable trying to teach someone it, you're never going to be that good and you're not going to succeed. It's just not going to happen. But if you want to be a sticker shop maker and you want to sell stickers and you want to teach people how to do it, learn from other people, make sure there's no 100% right way of doing certain crafts. There are a few things you have to follow. If you're going to make stickers, you might want to laminate them if you're going to put them on something that's got water on it. If you're making a scrapbook, you might want to make sure that you're making spots big enough for standard sized photos. Learn those little things to make sure that you know those basics, but make sure you enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, like I said, you're not going to succeed at it. It's going to feel like another 9 to 5 job that you can't stand teaching that or selling that. So make sure you're enjoying what you're making. And don't be afraid to pivot if it doesn't work. Change it up a little bit. Change what you're making or the technique. If you're not enjoying the technique, try a different one. You know, if you're selling cups, maybe you want to do resin. That's not your thing after all. Maybe you want to just do mugs, or you just want to do tumblers. Find what you enjoy, because you will become the best at what you enjoy the most. And that will reflect in the work of what you're selling.
Wow, that's excellent advice. So one last question. I just want to make sure the listeners connect with you and where to find you. So if you can just tell us a little bit about the best way to connect with you and some of your social media sites, that would be perfect.
Oh yeah. So I have a blog. It's Misfit Crafter. It's what's been around the longest. I still post things on there from time to time. It's been around probably for about, my kid's 17, so almost 17 years. So I've
Wow.
been doing that for a while. Yeah, I actually started crafting like heavily because I was up in the middle of the night with a baby and I was watching YouTube and tutorials, so I kept doing it. So that blog came from that. But then there's misfitcrafterstudio.com is my main website that you can go ahead and, like I said, get a free membership, check out classes. It's getting a little bit overhaul on classes right now, so they're starting to fill back up again. Because the holidays are coming, so some of the holiday classes are going to start popping in there. But on there, there's a portal to the blog and everything else. Social media everywhere, I'm Misfit Crafter. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. The only one is different is TikTok. It's misfit.crafter, because somebody got to it before me, because I was a little late on the TikTok bandwagon. But I am on there actually pretty actively now, doing lives and things like that. And you can actually subscribe to me on there as well. But yeah, I'm Misfit Crafter pretty much everywhere. It's where you can always find me.
Thank you so much. We've been talking to Monique Leslie, the Misfit Crafter, and it's Misfit Crafter Studio for most things like Facebook and Instagram. So make sure that you do connect with her, and we'll hope to see you on the next podcast. This is the Creative Crafters Podcast. And so until next time, we'll see you. Bye.